What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. My name is Billy with Cessna Creative, and today I'm going to walk you through how I create some of my 3D motion graphics. Now, this is a very highly requested video. I get asked a lot, how do I make these, what programs I use, and today I'm going to show you just that. Now, I use Adobe After Effects and I use Element 3D, and unfortunately Element 3D is not a free plugin, but I will link it down below anyways in case you guys want to check it out. Now, without further ado, I'm just going to get right into this, so let's get started and jump into After Effects. Alright guys, so we are now in After Effects. And I'm gonna go ahead and add a new layer here, and I'm gonna add a solid, and I'm just gonna name this Element 3D. So now we go to Effect, Video Copilot, and Element. So essentially what we're gonna do now is, there's a couple different methods, but I'm going to show you the method I use the most often, which is using masks. Now there's typically two ways I would do this, but I will show you the way to do it inside of After Effects only. So to do this, first you want to go to Layer, New Solid, okay? And we're going to name this Logo. Okay, so let's say you have a logo like this, right? And you want to translate that into 3D. So what you could do, and this is the method I use the most, so keep that in mind. You have your logo layer, and then you have the layer you are going to put into Element 3D, which is why I named this logo, and then this is your main logo. So what I like to do is put the logo you want to translate to 3D on the bottom. So typically put the logo on the bottom that you want to translate to 3D. And then go to your logo layer, turn the opacity down a little bit here, and we're going to go ahead and lock the layer below it so we don't accidentally move it. And then we're going to go to our pen tool by either clicking up here or hitting G on our keyboard. And then we're just going to begin to trace out the logo underneath of our Element 3D mask layer. And then you can see it's taking that shape from our mask. Okay, so now that we have our rough trace here, it's a little better than it was, but again, this is for the tutorial purpose anyway. You go back to your Element 3D layer and Custom Layers, Custom Text and Masks, and then Path Layer, click on Logo, your Source, Effect and Masks. That way it takes the masks that you just made on your layer and it will input it into Element telling it, hey, this is what I want to make 3D. So you want to go into Scene Setup. So Element 3D should open up, and then this is what your panel should look like. Then you want to click up here and click on Extrude. And then there you have it. Now you have a 3D logo that you can animate, texture, texturize, do whatever you want to it. Element 3D even has some presets for textures as well as bevels. And let's just do Oreo, for example. Click and drag it on to your logo, and you can see already some cool things start to happen here. If you want to get really fancy with it, you can open up your extrusion model by clicking this arrow, and you'll see different textures. And also textures mean a separate part of your bevel. So for this, there's two bevels. One is the black gloss and the other is the white shiny metal. So if you want to click on the white shiny metal here, you get different properties to be able to expand the edges, extrude it out more. We're going to expand the edges like so. And now we have this really cool looking bevel going on the outline of our logo. You can even enable bevel outline and then just get the outline. And that's already looking pretty cool. Maybe a little bit forward here and click OK. And then do not delete this layer from your timeline. You can hide it, but do not delete it because you need that in your timeline for Element 3D to interpret this 3D object. So now you want to go to Layer, New Camera. I'm just going to choose what my settings are here, but you can adjust your camera however you like. I'm going to click on OK. Hit C on your keyboard or go up here and choose Orbit Around Cursor, and you can start orbiting around your 3D object. And then you can go into, your render settings. All of this is for another discussion here, but one great quick tip that you all should be aware of is Ambient Occlusion, which adds a really nice depth and shadow to your 3D object that gives it like the lifelike look. I'm just going to adjust some lighting here so we get a better view of the ambient occlusion that's going on. Let me adjust this. And then, yeah, there you go. You can see that shadow depth there. So now I can crank back down my gamma to something a little more natural like that. Obviously, results will vary depending on your liking and your taste on what you want your logo to look like. But essentially now that your logo is set up, you can begin animating. So we take our camera, do the whole thing, drop down, 0.3, rotate it around the cursor again, maybe give it a little Z rotation. And then there you have it. You have a basic logo animation in 3D. So there's obviously tons more methods, but this is the most common method I use. Another quick method I will show you is using text. So we're gonna go back, turn that off, and just go to text and type in text, right? So now we're gonna, just align this so we have a good view. Same concept as before, custom layers, custom text and masks, and then choose text. And then it's already set up for me because, I had it in the same path layer. But now you have a nice text that looks pretty cool. And you can still adjust the properties too, which is really nice. So if you go in here, select your text layer, and I want to move this out a little bit because the T and the X are overlapping, I can do that. So it's very useful for me when I'm creating 3D graphics, and hopefully this gives you some insight. Obviously there's a whole list of things that go into this, but this is just the base where I like to start. But yeah, that is it, guys. So we're going to go back now to my main camera view and say our goodbyes. And that is it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for the love and support. If you enjoyed this kind of content, hit the thumbs up button, leave me a comment below what you want to see next. Hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.